So welcome once again. We are going to start from page 59. Very important chapter, very interesting chapter by the name of death. Can you imagine a chapter in a book that is called that begins with death? Yeah. So here the heading says to die is to be born. With death comes freedom. So, you see, why this chapter is important is because if we are living, then death is just a matter of time. It is inevitable. आज नहीं तो कल everybody has to die. Everything has to die. But all of us live in denial. We tend to live life with the thought or with the expectation that we will never die. That is one of the great myths or one of the great fallacies or one of the great weaknesses of the human psyche. And the Rishi Patanjali, he has named it as one of the first weaknesses that must be overcome. One has to accept death. And this chapter, luckily, we are students of Master Choa. We will learn the proper approach, how to prepare for death. Because it is inevitable. Now you have two choices. One is you are unprepared, and the other is that you are properly prepared. Yeah. Now, when it says with death comes freedom, to die is to be born seems a little contrary. What is master saying? So as we will read the chapter, we will, I think, understand this in more detail. This is true wisdom. You see, even I can say in master's life. Okay, we'll talk about it in a little while. Let's move on. Page 61, sutra number 1. Dying is a science. Do not be attached to your body. Eventually, all that exists will die. So, in the Indian system, we have this interesting word, nashwar. So, all our bodies, not just the physical body, all our bodies are subject to death. They will die eventually. Not only our bodies, this entire planet, this solar system, this entire universe, it has a lifetime. It is not permanent. It may seem permanent because it is longer than our lifetime, but it is not. What is permanent? The only thing that is permanent is that is the soul. I, the soul, am permanent, but my bodies, they are not permanent. They are temporary. So that is the soul. I, the soul, am the true being. Everything else is temporary. And when Master says dying is a science, interesting choice of word. Like he says, pranic healing is a science. What does it mean? It can be learned systematically and it can be learned by anyone. If you go through the system, you follow the system, you will learn. Yeah. And as we go through the chapter, I think we will understand the science of dying. Okay, sutra number 2. Death causes progress. Again, seems little contrary to our common belief. Without death there is stagnation. So why is master saying that? You see, take the example, your body has some illness or somebody's body has some illness. Now that means some cells are diseased, some cells of the physical body are diseased. If those cells were to be permanent, then it means the disease will also be permanent. But that doesn't happen. I mean, in almost all cases, eventually we overcome the disease is overcome. What does it mean? It is overcome. The disease cells are destroyed, they die. So the body is constantly undergoing a process of regeneration. Old cells are being killed, fresh cells are being born. That is how life goes on. You see, it's like this. When we die, it's like, you take off, like I'm wearing this jacket today, but in the evening or in the night, I will take it off and change my clothes. And tomorrow I will have a fresh change of clothes. Now that is progress. If I wouldn't take my old clothes off, how will I progress? So progress means discarding the old and taking something new. Yeah, that is how one should look at this sutra. Death of the body does not eliminate the causes generated by the soul. The law of karma is exact. The soul will have to harvest the consequences. Very important law of nature. The soul survives the karma incurred in one lifetime. All right. So, what should we understand from this? Better clear off as much karma in this life as you can. So all grudges and resentments, and he said this to me and I said this to him, all that. Settle those matters, settle them. Do forgiveness, seek forgiveness. Somebody gave you money, return it. Somebody owes you money. Well, either take it or forego it. You say, okay, I don't want it back. Because, tomorrow nobody knows. When death will come, nobody knows. We can have an expectation. Okay, average lifespan is, say, 80 years or 85 years. But nobody knows for each person. You cannot say. A lot of people in COVID happened. They used to go to the astrologer, and the astrologer said, "Oh, you will live for another 20 years." And then COVID happened, and many of those people, they did not even survive the year. So life is very unexpected. It is full of surprises. Okay, sutra number 4: die with dignity. Do not go out screaming, kicking, or struggling. Tune in to the brilliant light. Two parts here. So, first is this lack of dignity at the time of death. Why will it happen? Essentially, because we are very attached to the body, because we identify ourselves with the physical body. So, what happens is that we are unwilling to let it go. And that is why this lack of dignity, this unprepared time of death happens. Yeah. Now, the second part to this is tune into the brilliant light. What is Master talking about here? What brilliant light? So, for that, you need to look at the soul book, the Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul book in chapter 15, approximately page 168, 169. So, here, Master has described this in great detail. I suggest you must read this chapter. There he says, I am quoting words from that: tremendous descent of spiritual energy manifesting internally as brilliant light happens to the person who is about to die at the time of death. So that is what he's talking about. Tune into that. Why? Because that is a final opportunity in this life for purification. And if you purify, you go to heaven instead of hell. Now, heaven and hell, not in the conventional sense. You see, what happens is that as we have lived, we have created attachments, we have created addictions, we have created likes and dislikes. Now, before the astral body will be let go by the soul, that it has to be purified, sufficiently purified. So that purification is painful, or it can be very painful. That is what is known as hell. And the absence of that is bliss. So that is what is called heaven. Again, very well explained in the soul book. So not only purification, even union with the higher soul, yoga, true yoga, is possible at that time. So it is a great opportunity. Shall we read on? Let's read the next two sutras. Meditation on the blue pearl cleanses and prepares you for the inner world. We can learn to merge with the light by practicing meditation on the blue pearl regularly during the weeks prior to death. Let's read one more sutra. Turn the page, not the first sutra, the second sutra. Teaching dying people meditation on the blue pearl prepares them for the higher world. When the body dies, the soul moves into a body of light. By focusing on the blue pearl at the moment of death, a person can merge with the light when it comes down. So, not only merge with the light, how to prepare for that. So, apparently, the meditation on the blue pearl, which we also know as meditation on the higher soul or soul meditation, conversationally, we like to say soul. Again, for that, the Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul book, all that is explained beautifully. So, if you practice this meditation, it becomes easier for the incarnated soul to recognize the brilliant light and to merge with it. So, we must learn it, we must practice it, and also we should help our family members, especially the elderly family members, to learn it and help them practice it. This is great karma, very, very good karma. Yeah, because you are giving them, you are preparing them for that opportunity. Yes, isn't Master a great teacher? And isn't his teaching unique and super, super useful? All right, so let's come to the next page, page 62, the first sutra, then the last two sutras. Be calm at the moment of death. If there is crying, screaming, or distraction, the dying person will miss the light. Dying people should merge with the light. After death, the person should not be disturbed physically or psychologically within the first 3 or 5 hours. This is the second last sutra. Even when a person is unconscious, the mantra Om can still be played. So the first sutra we read, this was related to the person, you know, who is sort of on his deathbed, and also it is guidance for the family members. So what Master is saying is that, you see, if you read the book, Master has explained even in more detail that some chakras are still there even though the soul is left or is about to leave the body. So you may, if you disturb the person, physically means move the body around, or if you psychologically disturb, which means by screaming, by shouting, by crying, by, expressing deep sorrow, the soul which has to depart may get disturbed or distracted. Now, the big risk there is then the soul may miss the light. And that is really a great opportunity not to be missed. So therefore, it is important for family members for at least a few hours. Master says 3 or 5 hours. Let us say 5 hours. For 5 hours, do not disturb the person. So when people, a lot of times when people have natural, passing, they die naturally. It happens in the, middle of the night. So 4, 5, 6 hours they are not disturbed. Their body is not disturbed. Nobody is crying or screaming or anything like that. So they are not disturbed physically or psychologically. That is very, very helpful to them. Yeah, especially if they have been prepared to recognize the light and merge with it. So that is now the job for all of us. What? Number one, for ourselves. You see, again, remember, life is uncertain. We don't know when this last moment will come. So you cannot plan, okay, I will do this when I am 77 years and so many months and so many days old. ऐसा नहीं होता है. Nobody can predict that time. So you need to prepare right away, right now, and keep that preparation going, and help elderly members, especially elderly members in your family, to also know this and prepare for it. All right. So we've come to the end of this section. I hope you found the session useful, and we will start the